Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Millionaire Monday. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the Monday that the Lord has made. We are already rejoicing and we're glad in it. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you are coming on live right now, please hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody, and let them know your boy Ramon, my squad, and the Ramonepreston Show. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Today is Monday, Millionaire Monday, October the 24th, 2022. Again, today is Monday, Millionaire Monday. It's one of my favorite days of the week. I love every day, but when it comes to business work days, Monday through Friday, I love Mondays. So happy Millionaire Monday. Thank you for joining the Ramonepreston Show today. Please hit the like button, hit the share button, tag somebody, and if you would be so kind, put in the comments what city you're watching me from today. I would love to know what city you're watching me from today. Let me know by putting in the comments what city you're watching your boy from. What city do you represent? Who are you repping today? Put it in the comments. Let me know who you're repping. I want to say thank you to you who RSVP'd for our past business boot camp. We just hosted a boot camp this past Saturday on the 22nd. This past Saturday, we hosted a boot camp. It was a business boot camp, a 4-hour deep dive I did on holding companies and creative tax strategies. And it was awesome. It was epic, y'all. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. It was epic. We talked a lot about holding companies. We talked a lot about creative tax strategies. We talked a lot about trust, family trust. We talked about real estate investing. We talked about financial freedom. We talked about starting businesses, structuring them. We talked about EIN numbers, articles of organization. We talked about operating agreements. We talked about partnerships. We talked about diversifying assets. We talked about retirements, IRAs. I mean, you name it, we talked about it this past Saturday. So if you missed Saturday's boot camp, if you missed that 4-hour boot camp that I just hosted this past Saturday, you missed an epic event. Now, it was a live event that we hosted. It was a free 4-hour deep dive that I did, and I literally stood in front of the podium for over 4 hours. We started at 12 noon and we really went to about 5 p.m. because we had that many questions. I mean, literally, we probably answered 50 questions in that 5-hour window. But I did what I promised I was going to do. I offered a free event. I gave everyone an opportunity to RSVP for it for free. And I promised that I was going to share information with you. I was going to do a deep dive on holding companies and creative tax strategies. And we had about 20 people who purchased 2 of our courses leading up to the RSVP. And if you are one of those 20 that took me up on that offer for $197, we had a $197 offer that we gave you access to the holding company course and the creative tax strategy course. So I gave this group of people access to 2 courses for $197 to prepare you for the event. If you're one of the 20 people that took advantage of that, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking advantage of it. And if you were able to join me live, in which I did have quite a few people that were live in person, and we had people that were virtual. So we were streaming it virtual, but it wasn't on social media. You would have had to RSVP, and we emailed every RSVP a link to the event. But it was an awesome event. So if you're watching today's live show on Monday, October the 24th, and you were able to join me this Saturday, I want you to let me know in the comments if you joined me, and maybe give me one of your biggest takeaways. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is. I've got a lot of takeaways from this past Saturday, and I'm going to talk about some of those takeaways. And by the way, if you have any questions that you want to ask me about holding companies, put the question in the comments. If you got a question that you want to ask me about creative tax strategies, we talked about that this Saturday. We talked about income categories for tax purposes. We talked about the 3 components that we use for using business accounting. We talked about creative tax strategies. I think I shared probably maybe 150 or 200 business deductions and write-offs that you can use as a business owner. We talked about W-2 employees, 1099 contractors, EIN business owners, investors. We had a couple real estate investors who were there, and they were even learning information. So if you have any questions, I want you to drop the questions in the comments. And today, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about a few takeaways from Saturday's boot camp that I hosted. So if this is your first time watching, I want to say welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you don't know, now you know. My name is Ramonepreston. I'm the host of the Ramonepreston Show. And every Monday through Friday, like today, live in real time, I show up here somewhere around the 12 o'clock noon hour. Today I was late, and I got a really good excuse why I was late. But every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, I show up here live in the middle of my workday, right here at our headquarters in Buckhead. And I come on this show to share information with you. Valuable information that can really help you start and structure and even scale at some point your business and your income stream. So if you're dreaming, desiring financial freedom, if that's what you dream about, financial freedom, if you desire to be financial free, if you're dreaming and desiring to have a successful business and you want to set your business up right, maybe you got a business and you're a little sophisticated as an entrepreneur, but you're looking for ways to, implement some creative tax strategies, and maybe you're looking at trying to figure out how to start a holding company and how to diversify your assets in your business portfolio. Well, I share a lot of information about holding companies. I share a lot of information about creative tax strategies. And I teach these principles. I have online courses that I teach these principles on. I teach these principles through our in-person events that we host throughout the year. I provide consulting and coaching to clients through our consulting division and through our coaching program. And we have a major platform called Ramonepreston University that houses these programs and these services and these courses that we offer to our community. So everything that I share with you on this show is designed to help you properly start, structure, and at some point scale your business. So I want to go over a few takeaways, because again, if you didn't join me this past Saturday for my business boot camp, which again was free. The cost to join me for this business boot camp Saturday was free $99. So I hosted a free business boot camp, and I took 5 hours doing a deep dive on principles and concepts and strategies that you could use as an entrepreneur. Even if you're not an entrepreneur yet, these were principles and concepts and strategies that you can use to become an entrepreneur and to become financially free. And so there are so many takeaways that I personally took, even though I taught, but having so many people ask questions and getting so much feedback from people who are already clients in our company. They might be students in our training programs. and new people that I don't even know, getting a lot of questions, getting a lot of feedback. I was able to really, gather some takeaways that resonated with me. Okay. One of my biggest takeaways, and this might be something that resonates with you, but one of my biggest takeaways from Saturday's business boot camp was the fact that most entrepreneurs know little to nothing about holding companies. I mean, literally, like the average entrepreneur, the average small business owner, they don't know anything about holding companies, or they know little about holding companies. So maybe I can ask you that question. How much do you know about holding companies? Is it nothing? Is it little? Or is it a lot? I want you to put in the comments, how much do you know? How much do you know about holding companies? I'm asking you that question. I want you to give me an honest answer. How much do you know about holding companies? Just put it in the comments. Let me know that answer. How much do you know about holding companies? I would love to know. Just let me know in the comments. How much do you know about holding companies? Do you know a little? You could check the box and put it in the comments. You know a little? Oh no, let me put nothing. You know nothing. Okay? You know a little. Or maybe you know a lot. I want you to put in the comments what your answer is to that question. How much do you know about holding companies? Do you know a little bit about holding companies? Do you know nothing about holding companies, or do you know a lot about holding companies? And again, if you missed my boot camp this past Saturday, if you want access to the information that I was sharing, if you want access to the educational courses on what a holding company is, how a holding company works, how to establish a holding company, how to file and form the paperwork, how to draft your operating agreements, what language do you use when you're filing for a holding company, when you're getting your EIN number, what do you put in your operating agreement when you're drafting an operating agreement? How do you build out your divisions and subsidiaries? How do you start layering all your different assets like trademarks, copyrights, intellectual property, patents, ownership interests? Maybe you have stocks, bonds, and real estate. How do you build them out as divisions and subsidiaries or assets under your holding company? If you want access to that type of information and you want to learn those ins and outs of holding companies, of course, I'm going to extend an offer to you before today's show ends. But I want you to answer that question. How much do you know about holding companies? Do you know nothing? Do you know a little? Or do you know a lot? And one of the reasons why I'm asking this question is because this is one of my biggest takeaways. What I have found out just within the last few weeks leading up to this last business boot camp that I hosted, what I've learned more than ever before is most entrepreneurs, most solopreneurs, most independent contractors, most people who are self-employed, most people who are W-2 employees, most people who are legitimate business owners. I'm talking about people who got LLCs, who are out there doing work right now through their business. Most people know little to nothing about holding companies. Very few people know a lot about holding companies. Very few people. Most people know little to nothing about holding companies. That's a big takeaway that I learned. So I would love to know, how much do you know about holding companies? Now, another big takeaway from this past Saturday's event that I gathered just from listening to people and answering questions and engaging people, most people who know about the legal entity of a holding company don't really understand the concept of a holding company. So there's a difference, all right? So there's a difference. There's a difference between a holding company this is a big takeaway. There's a difference between a holding company as an entity than a holding company as a concept. Now, I like to word it that way because there's something I like to explain, okay? So this is another big takeaway. And again, everybody has their own takeaways. If you join any of my events or if you listen to me long enough, you're going to come up with your own takeaways. But even though I hosted the event and even though I taught for 5 hours straight and answered questions for 5 hours straight, I still had my own takeaways, okay? So my first takeaway, as I just mentioned, was that I realized most entrepreneurs know little to nothing about holding companies, all right? My second takeaway is this. There's a difference between a holding company as an entity than as a concept. Most entrepreneurs don't understand this. So what that means is you can get an LLC set up. It's easy to set up an LLC. Most people know how to set up LLCs who are in business. I mean, you talk to just about anybody, they could tell you, oh, you need to get your EIN number. You need to get your articles of organization. You just go to the Secretary of State. You file the paperwork. You pay the fee, and you go get your LLC. But even if you get somebody else to do it for you and you say, I want you to do my LLC as a holding company, just because you understand it as an entity, as a legal entity, doesn't mean you understand it as a concept. And the reason why understanding it as a concept is so important is because concepts are ideas. Concepts are beliefs. Concepts are thoughts. So the purpose of starting a holding company is not just to have a legal entity that you call a holding company. The purpose of starting a holding company is to have a legal entity that you call a holding company, but a legal entity that you can use the concept for. So there's a certain belief you have about this type of entity. When you start a holding company, you should have a belief, meaning that you understand the concept. You have this idea about business and you understand there's a certain way that I have to use a business in order to grow my enterprise, in order to grow my net worth, in order to accumulate assets, in order to build wealth. And if I understand how this concept works and I use this concept through a business, it can accelerate my growth, my expansion. It can assist me in becoming financially free, and it can help my business get successful. So there's a big difference. So when I talk to somebody and they tell me, oh, I do have a holding company, then what I know is they're talking about they have a legal entity set up. But if they're not using that legal entity to accumulate assets, if they're not using that legal entity to facilitate the wealth building process, it's not because they don't have the right entity. It's really because they don't have a concept. They don't understand the concept behind it. It's no different than anything else. If you have a knife and a knife can serve a certain purpose, and this purpose that this knife can serve is going to be based on the concept you have about knives, the beliefs you have about knives. One person can take this knife and they can be trying to cut people because they have a knife, right? But they don't know what the purpose of that knife is. They don't understand the concept, why this knife was really created. It's no different than a holding company. If you get a legal entity filed and formed and you got your LLC and you calling it a holding company, but you don't know how to use it, you ain't gonna get no benefit from it. You just gonna be telling people you got a holding company, but it ain't gonna produce anything for you. Okay, and that's another big takeaway for me. Another big takeaway that I really gathered from just this past weekend for our business boot camp is learning the primary purpose of a holding company is your way of learning how to take assets and hold them through a legal entity. This is the whole primary purpose of a holding company, for you to set up a legal entity, designate it as a holding company so that you can start accumulating assets and making sure those assets can be held, or making sure that your company holds these assets. This is the primary purpose of a holding company. So what differentiates a holding company from any other company? Well, what differentiates a holding company from another company is a holding company is holding assets. So let me reverse that for a minute. You got your holding company here, and I'll put HC for holding company, and then you got assets. These are going to be the assets, right? Let's just put assets like this. We just put these little boxes for assets. And this is how, I don't know, I might be confusing you with all these boxes, because I know some of y'all just learning these concepts, so I just put it like that. So if you have assets that are being held by a company that you call a holding company, you are demonstrating an example of what the primary purpose of that holding company is. What differentiates this from any other company, in this case we will call an operating company, a OC, an operating company. What differentiates this from a holding company is the operating company is not necessarily holding assets. The operating company is doing just that. It's operating in the marketplace as a business to sell products and to sell services. It's providing products and services. It's producing products and services. But this operating company is actually an asset that should be held by the holding company. So that should be an asset under the holding company, but it should be separate so that this company can do what its primary purpose is for it to do, and that is to go out into the marketplace and to operate business activities so that it can generate revenue. So these are big takeaways, because I'm learning more and more as I talk to entrepreneurs, as I consult and coach and educate entrepreneurs, that these sophisticated wealth building concepts are things that most entrepreneurs don't understand. And if you don't understand these concepts, that means you're not going to use those concepts. So this is something very, very important. So there's a fundamental difference between a holding company and an operating company. And that fundamental difference is that the holding company is holding assets, right? And the operating company is an asset that's being held, but its primary purpose is to go out into the business world, out into the marketplace, and operate in business activities to sell products and services. All right, another big takeaway that you can really keep in mind is when you're starting a business, particularly when you're starting an enterprise, meaning that you're starting a holding company, you're starting, I'm gonna just put it this way. When you're starting an organizational enterprise, that means you're starting a holding company that may have divisions and that may have subsidiaries. Okay? So when you're starting this type of organizational enterprise, I like to use the big sophisticated words. So when you're starting an organizational enterprise that's made up of your holding company, your divisions within your holding company, and your subsidiaries, there are certain basic things that you need to be working on at the point of starting it. You don't wait to work on them, because when you wait to work on certain things that I'm about to show you, you leave too much money on the table that you could be generating revenue. So what are some of the things that you should be working on once you set up your organizational enterprise? So what that means is you're going to file and form your paperwork. You got your EIN number, you got your articles, you got your operating agreement, you got your holding company, LLC, taken care of. The next thing you're going to be working on is divisions, which means there are going to be certain divisions, certain operational departments that have to function for your holding company to actually function. These divisions may be certain top level products and services that you want to provide, like consulting or coaching or education that you might just temporarily run through your holding company. But if not, you still have operational divisions like a sales division, a marketing division, a general operating division for administration and for your finances. Like, you have to have certain systems and processes in place that your holding company is going to have to use, even if it's not out in the marketplace generating revenue by selling products and services. And then you're going to have your subsidiaries. There are going to be certain business activities that might run through other LLCs. So that's the basic structure of an organizational enterprise. But what are some other things do you need to be working on? I think you should be working on intellectual property. So this is what they call IP. You should be working on that the moment you set this up, if not before. Like, you should be working on your intellectual property. So what is intellectual property? Intellectual property is property that is owned by your mind, your intellect. So there are a lot of things that I teach, right? There are a lot of principles I teach. There are a lot of concepts I teach. There are a lot of courses that I create. I'm really a teacher and an educator and a course creator. Like, I love creating courses, and I've been doing this for years, man. I love that. I love teaching. I'm a teacher by heart. Like, I feel like I'm a doctor. I feel like I'm an expert. I feel like I'm a master at communicating ideas and principles and concepts to people, because I've done it for so long, and I love to do it. That's a real big passion of mine. But all the stuff that I talk about, all the stuff that I teach, at least most of it, some of it I might get from other people, but most of the stuff that I teach, I come up with. Even if I read somebody's stuff or learn from somebody, I still like to come up and gather my own information and put it together in a way that it makes sense to me. So I could read 20 books on a certain topic, but I might take certain things from those books that I've learned and create my own formulas or come up with my own ideas that are different versions of what I've learned, right? And then I'll create my own. I mean, it's just the way I process information. But with that being said, this is my intellectual property. So my intellectual property, or my IP, becomes an asset. It becomes an asset to my holding company. It becomes an asset for my organizational enterprise. This is something that a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners never tap into. I mean, it don't matter what you're doing right now. I mean, it could be anything. You can cut grass for a living. Well, there's a certain way you cut grass. There's a certain process you have. There are certain things that you like to do. And if I came and cut grass with you one day and I said, okay, I need you to show me everything I need to do to cut grass with you, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to show me step by step what needs to be done. You're going to tell me, okay, I need you to grab this. I need you to go over there. I need to do that. And when you get done with that, I need you to take the trash and put it over here. If you clean for a living, if you cook for a living, if you drive, I don't care what it is that you do. If you are doing anything that's generating revenue, even if you're working on a job, you should be thinking about, what is my intellectual property? That's an asset to your business. What are some other assets that you need to be working on in your business? Well, you need to be working on copyrights. You could be working on patents. You could be working on trademarks. See, when you start thinking about these things, even while you're building your organizational enterprise out, what you're going to realize is there are so many different streams of income opportunities you got right in front of you, but you've never thought about packaging these things or layering these things to make them assets for your company. And they are assets for your company, because you can license certain intellectual property that you have. You can license certain copyrights or patents or trademarks that you have. You could be making money. Of course, there are other assets that you need to be thinking about working on, like maybe certain investments that you have. I know some people, because I've had clients that I've worked with. I don't personally do the work that certain people do. Like if you, let's say if you have like investment accounts or retirement accounts from a job or a previous employer, I don't do that stuff. I don't know how to move that stuff around, but I do know that it's possible for you to move it around. And so I have clients and people that I've worked with that have taken their companies and they've moved or rolled over certain retirement accounts that they've had, and they created those same type of accounts or similar accounts for their business, and moved that money over there, or that retirement account or that investment over there. And now that retirement account is actually an asset to their own organization, as opposed to it being just something they had when they was working on a job. It could be a piece of real estate you have. It could be equipment that you have. It could be certain things that you use for your business that could become assets. But you need to think about, how can I start working on these now? You don't want to wait until you start, or until you feel like you get to a place in your business where, you're making a lot of money. A lot of times, most entrepreneurs don't never get to a place that they're making money. This is why the average business, like literally, all you have to do is Google. If you Google what percentage of businesses don't make money or break even, if you Google that, you'll find out. Like, let me Google that real quick. How many businesses lose money? How many businesses lose money each year? So it says here, in general, 40% of companies are profitable, 30% break even, and 30% continue to lose money. Look at that. So out of 100% of businesses, I just Googled this, out of 100% of businesses, 40% are profitable. So 40% make money, 30% break even, which means they're losing money, and then 30% just go all the way down. Look at that. So out of 100% of businesses, 60% are failing. Only 4 out of 10 businesses are actually making money. One of the reasons why 4 out of 10 businesses are making money is because they are not marketing correctly. They don't know how to sell products and services. They probably don't have the right products and services. And most of them don't even have the right infrastructure. So they haven't even structured their businesses and their systems and processes in a correct way that they can house a legitimate product or service that can be marketed, and so that they can go into the marketplace. So even though a lot of times it doesn't feel like infrastructures and systems and processes are important, but they are important, because most businesses, like 6 out of 10 businesses that don't make money, most of these businesses don't even have the right infrastructure set up. That means they don't have no systems. They don't know anything about sales systems, marketing systems, operational systems, financial systems. A lot of these people are just winging it. So when you hear me talking about these concepts about holding companies and divisions and subsidiaries and assets and creative tax strategies, none of these things are going to make sense to you if you remain in the percentile of businesses who are losing, because these businesses are not reinvesting in themselves and in their businesses. So if you are a business owner and you are in that percentile, you got to make a decision. Do I want to be a statistic, or do I want to be a success story? So today was about me just sharing some takeaways with you from just this past Saturday. Again, if you missed my Saturday boot camp, I hosted it was actually a 5-hour event this past Saturday. And I talked about all the ins and outs of holding companies. And we did a great deep dive on creative tax strategies, because we're getting ready to go into a new calendar year. And you need to have these things figured out now before you get into the new calendar year, so that you do not have to be taxed above and beyond what you should because you didn't do your due diligence in this year. And the only way you're really going to get a grip on minimizing taxes, maximizing profits, and really going into the market and making money in your business and not being a statistic, being one of those 6 out of 10 businesses that's failing and losing money, one of the only ways you're going to do it is taking the time to educate yourself and learning how to put the right business infrastructure together, learning about the ins and outs of daily operations of a business, understanding systems and processes. This stuff may sound foreign to you. It may sound like it don't mean nothing to you. It's just because you're not used to it. You haven't learned it. But you got to get these things, because these are the things that are really the roadblocks to why your business ain't making money, or to why you are unable to go into business. So I definitely want to give you access to more information that you might need for holding companies, or for creative tax strategies, for systems, for processes. We have training courses on all of the above. So if you want courses to learn more about holding companies or tax strategies or systems and processes like sales, like marketing, like financials, like operations, we have courses available for you to help you along the way. And I want you to end this year strong, and I want you to put a good system together so that you can be proud of the business you have and see the success that comes as a result. So what I want you to do is just reach out to me, and you can text the word millionaire, because that's what I want you to become. Text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. Text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. Why do you want me to text the word millionaire, Ramon? Here's why I want you to text the word millionaire, because I want you to be one. And I know in order for you to be one, honestly, you're really going to have to learn these business concepts, these business principles. I'm not saying that you can't have a windfall and not become a millionaire. I'm not going to say that something extraordinary can't happen and you can go viral, and yeah, that can happen. Maybe you can, get good at just selling and marketing and make a lot of money. That can happen. But does it happen to most business owners? No, it don't happen. I just showed you one statistic that said out of 100% of businesses, only 40% of businesses actually make a profit. So that means 6 out of 10 businesses today, they don't make any money and they're actually losing money. Why are 6 out of 10 businesses losing money? There are a lot of reasons why. I just told you, marketing, there's no demand for their product. They don't have any funding. They don't have any working capital. Their products and services might not be good enough. There's so many different reasons why 6 out of 10 businesses are failing. But I think, and I've done my own research to see that it's really accurate, I think a lot of these businesses that are failing, which means that they have issues and breakdowns with sales and marketing and products and services, is because they haven't put the right infrastructures together. They just threw some ideas together and just jumped out there thinking, oh man, I'm gonna make some money, and it don't work. And then it starts glitching and breaking down, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong. Well, you never really put a solid business together. And in order for you to put a solid business together, you don't just start a LLC. You don't just get an EIN number or articles of organization or a bank account or Duns and Bradstreet. You actually got to learn how to put the right systems in place and processes with those systems, and how to package the right products and services and put them in a business so that when you go out to the marketplace, you actually have a message. You actually have consistency. You actually have offers that people want to buy. So all of what I'm talking about has to be learned. You got to learn these things. These are concepts and principles that you have to learn. If you have to learn them, where are you going to learn them at? I mean, you might go to some school and learn them. I don't know. But what I do know is I've got this information because I'm an entrepreneur. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 20 years. And these things that I teach are things that I had to learn. I didn't know these things 20 years ago. And I had a lot of bumps and bruises. I had a lot of ups and downs. I had a lot of failures. And I had to figure these things out because I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be financially free. And I wanted to be time free. I wanted to have freedom with my time and freedom with my finances and freedom with my life. And I knew in order for me to have those things, I needed to do it through a successful business. And that's what I realized early on, that, wow, successful businesses have to have the right structures. They have to have the right systems. They have to have the right processes, of course, the right people. And they have to have an owner who's committed enough to learn these things and go through that grueling process of figuring it out. And I want to move a lot of the pain and the pressure from you. I want to take some of this out of the way. I want to move time out of the way. I don't want you to have to take 20 years like it took me 20 years to get to where I am. You get what I'm saying? I want you to get this stuff now so that you can get further quicker. So again, text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have and to plug you into the courses and programs that are available to help you properly start, properly structure, and at some point scale your business and your income stream. So thank you for joining the Ramonepreston Show today on this beautiful Millionaire Monday. I love and appreciate all of you. Please put in the comments what your takeaway was from today. Today I was talking about takeaways from my Saturday boot camp, but I want you to put in the comments what your takeaway was from today's show on takeaways. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube page. Follow me on every platform. You can find me at Ramonepreston. And I'll be back here tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon, same place, same time, same show, tomorrow at 12 noon.